Hi, welcome to the IELTS multi-step program. Today, we're going to be shooting a reaction video to a practice test between a Chinese lady and a native English examiner. This reaction video is designed to point out the flaws and the mistakes that this candidate has been making in this test and to also provide strategies and suggestions on how you can avoid these pitfalls so that you can maximize your chances of success in the IELTS. Without further ado, I'll review the assessment criteria for the speaking test in the IELTS before we jump right into this video. There are 4 basic assessment criteria for the speaking section of the IELTS. The first is fluency and coherence. Second is lexical resource. The third is grammatical range and accuracy. And the final one is pronunciation. We would see if this candidate has been able to score high on every aspect or every criterion and why this candidate landed at a band 7 for the entire test.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
All right. My name is Adrian. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
My name's Gina.
Nice to meet you, Gina. I will be your examiner for this part of the IELTS exam. The speaking section will take about 12 to 15 minutes. Okay. There are 3 parts. I'll give you instructions for each part. Before we begin, I'm going to record this for marking purposes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, firstly, may I see your passport, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. That's great. Here's your passport back.
Thank you.
All right, so for part 1, I'm going to ask you some questions on a general topic. Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Okay, then let's talk about leisure time. What do you like to do with your free time?
I like spending my time on internet. I use a lot of social media.
I like spending my time on the internet. Omission of that article there obviously points to the fact that she might not have such a strong strength in language as we think she should.
And I play games from time to time.
All right. Do you prefer spending your free time alone or with friends?
I prefer spend my time alone, but I also enjoy spending time with my friends.
That's a massive grammatical blunder there. I prefer spend my time alone. I prefer spend my time alone, and I also enjoy spending my time with friends. So I think there's a very clear idea of why this candidate got a band 7. And the more we watch this, the more I start to doubt if the band 7 is actually an appropriate score for this particular test taker. But let's not judge it.
But it depends on what mood I'm in. I love my friends.
It depends, not it depends. And also, when you are in the IELTS test, I think I mentioned this in previous videos and I'll also mention it again. Please, as much as possible, try to reduce the informality of your expressions. Try to reduce the informality of your expressions. The more formal language you target using, the better your chances of success in the IELTS. And also, when you're using speech fillers, avoid having them start your sentences or your responses. What it just tells the examiner is that you're hesitant in giving your response and you do not have that quick reaction to it. So you're starting all your answers with that obviously will count against you.
And I enjoy spending time with them. However, sometimes I just like to sit alone at home on phone or on computer.
On the phone or on the computer, the article D, the definite article D, is a major challenge for this examiner. These are minor things that we overlook in language, but you see, overall, they contribute to the quality of our responses. They contribute to the quality of our language. Imagine if this was an essay and she had omitted the in like 7 different places, critical places. That essay would read like a grammatical disaster.
Which statement do you agree with? I live to work or I work to live?
That's a tough question. I think I agree the second one.
I think I agree the second one. A lot of us fall into that trap also too. So we want to use a vocabulary item or want to use a word, and then we think about changing it. And in our case here, she had actually used the right one, and then she changed it and used the second one, which obviously is the inappropriate expression. I pray you don't get into that situation though, because it can be quite annoying.
I believe that work is simply a means to enjoying your life. If people spend too much time on working, they will miss the original taste of life.
Not a bad idea. In fact, that's a very solid idea that I can actually get behind. But what does that prove to us? It proves to us that in the IELTS, the quality of ideas isn't assessed, it's the quality of expression that is assessed. That's a very solid idea. And I think she did it quite well. She actually pulled it off quite well. But if she had given that solid idea and she had expressed it in very incorrect or inappropriate language, it would have counted against her, not for her. So please, when you get into the IELTS, we're not interested in how brilliant or intelligent your ideas are. We're more particular about how you express those ideas.
Why do you think free time is important?
I think leisure time is very important because...
So what she did there, she changed the word free, she changed the expression free time to leisure time. It's very good. Using synonyms, using paraphrasing shows the examiner that you have a wide range of vocabulary, and that would improve your scores for lexical resource.
Free time allows people recharge after work or study. Everyone needs their own time to do what they want or what else life is.
I actually do not understand what that expression means, or else what life is. Doesn't make any sense to me. Overall, I would say she's still in between now. She's not so bad. Neither is it so impressive.
How much free time do people have in your country?
I come from China. How much leisure time a person has, it depends on their situation in...
Leisure time a person has depends on, not it depends on.
In the society. I'm from the middle class family.
I'm from a middle class family. Obviously, articles are a big challenge. You can see how one tiny aspect of grammar can affect our overall performance. Just because she's not good with articles, either definite or the indefinite article, it has turned out to be the most consistent grammatical mistake that she's making throughout the whole test. And if we check our grammatical score, our score for grammatical range and accuracy after this test, I can assure you that it would account for one of the reasons why it dropped her to a band 7. And frankly speaking, if I were in the examiner's shoes, it may even drop her to a band 6.5. But like I said, let's wait till the end of this video to decide.
We are lucky because we have enough leisure time after work or study. However, some people may not.
Are not. We are lucky. However, some people are not. Not, may not. Auxiliary. Auxiliary verbs, that means.
Okay, that's the end of part 1. Now, shortly we will begin part 2. For part 2, I'm going to give you a card with some questions on it. You will have 60 seconds
to prepare what you answer.
And you have note paper in front of you. And I'm going to give you a pen. I'll tell you when your preparation time begins and ends. After the 60 seconds, you will have 90 seconds to answer the question.
So that's a minute 30 seconds. 90 seconds, that's a minute 30 seconds, obviously. So I always advise test takers to please practice answering in a minute 30 seconds, and 2 minutes also. So that way you've covered the wide range of time that could be assessed, that could be allotted to you to respond to the long turn in the speaking test. 1 minute is compression. How do you compress your points and cover everything in 1 minute? 1 minute 30 seconds is probably the ideal time. You know, you've finished in 1 minute and you have 30 seconds to expand. And 2 minutes obviously will tax your powers of expansion. The three things are things that you should practice before you enter that hall or you enter the room with the examiner for your IELTS test.
Questions into speak, and again, I'll tell you when to start and stop. So here's the card. Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Okay, so your 60-second preparation time begins now. Go ahead and turn over the card.
Okay.
You should say what the work of art is, what made this work of art beautiful, what impact this work of art had on you. Nice.
All right, Gina, so your 60-second preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Okay. I have not had been many experience of art.
Not had been, oh my God. I have not had been many experiences of art. In what planet or universe is that appropriate? None.
But there was one time, it was a school field trip. We went to a local art gallery. There was an exhibit of
Exhibit?
Van Gogh. And there was a painting work really struck me.
Oh my God. I was a painting that really, oh my God. A painting, a work of art or a painting that really struck me, not a painting work.
Is really cool. From his work, I think this painter's life is very interesting. Before I see that work,
after I saw,
I believe that I'll be able to gain an insight.
Oh my gosh. I believe that I be able to gain insights. I have been able to gain insights. Verbs, verbs, verbs. Verbs are turning out to be this young lady's cross. Our expressions are turning out to be unintelligible and quite confusing because of wrong usage of verbs, both auxiliary verbs and main verbs. So you can see the many pitfalls that test takers make or fall into when they take the speaking test of the IELTS if they do not prepare, if they do not practice.
The painter's day-to-day existence, and it can be tell that this painter's life.
It can be seen, it can be tell. Wow. It can be seen or it can be inferred, it can be deduced, not that it can be tell. It's not that even it can be told would not be correct in this context.
Before that day, I just thought art is just a work on the paper.
Before that day, I had thought that art is just work on a paper, not a work on the paper, or finish on the stone.
Or finish on the stone or
No.
anything. But after that day, I believe that art is created by a person, and that person put his emotion.
Art is created by a person. It's created by a person.
And his life into it. Just like Vincent van Gogh, he put his emotion into the work, and after he dies for 100 years, people still remember him.
After he dies or after he dies, after he died, I specifically do not actually understand what that. So this is actually a huge error for pronunciation. The word that was pronounced is so common and a word in English language for it to be mispronounced that way, and obviously it could be termed to be something else. That's an ambiguous pronunciation there, and that actually would affect our scores. As much as I try to tell non-native users of the language that your accent may not be a huge challenge for you, you also do not want to fall into the trap where you're pronouncing or you're pronouncing English words, common English words that should be probably easy things, easy vocabulary items in the wrong way.
And his emotion also affects people.
All right, excellent. So your 90 seconds is up. May I have the card back, please? Thank you. Now I'm going to begin with part 3. It's the final part. I'm going to ask you some more questions on a couple of topics that are related to part 2. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, I am.
All right, then let's talk about art and value. To see the rest of...
So, you would notice that the band 7 score that was assigned to this test taker seems very debatable. It's something that is open to contest. I would actually assume that this person should fall at a band 6 at least, and at most a band 6.5. She's not actually worthy of a band 7. We haven't seen the part 3 of this test, so it may be too early to judge. In part 3, she might end up redeeming herself and giving answers that could have put her in a better standing. But from the part 1, where she was asked context about social context questions, it was obvious that she wasn't really handling it very well. There were a lot of errors there too. And then the part 2, which is for me the most important aspect of the speaking test, where she had all the opportunity in the world to show off her communicative competence, it was a real disaster in terms of grammatical errors, in terms of vocabulary errors also. And although she sounded quite fluent, coherence was affected by those expressions that she was using. So it didn't sound logical, it didn't sound as well put together as it should sound. So a band 6 is it for me, and not a band 6.5, nor a band 7. So, for our test takers watching at home, please, as much as possible, review these videos, look out for the errors, and please apply the strategies in the previous videos that we've shared on the IELTS multi-step program if you desire to achieve that intended success, or that success that you are looking out for in the IELTS.